Well, with me is Bob Hartz. This is the first time I'm meeting you, Bob. It's been a pleasure so far in our conversations, and maybe why don't you talk a little bit about yourself and how you got started and what drew you into the Jackalopes back all the way in 1997 when they first started.
Well, Mike, I was with the baseball team, which was the Angels at the time, and somebody got this stupid idea, this wild idea to also expand into hockey, and so the old Western Professional Hockey League. I grew up listening to hockey on the radio, so I was really excited about it, and next thing you know, here we were. Somebody told me it was 25 years ago, though. That's got to be, that arithmetic's got to be wrong, doesn't it?
When you look out on the ice now, and this is obviously a lot different of an age group, these guys are 18 to 21-year-olds,
right,
and not professionals, and they're trying to get to a college scholarship and eventually go pro. But are there any times, maybe looking on during that first period where you think back to a call, or did it kind of bring back any big moments throughout the CHL days?
Well, it really doesn't. I mean, so many things have changed, but you know what? The game, I was watching actually right on ice level, which I very rarely have a chance to do. You forget how fast and how good just the game of hockey is. And I mean, these guys, it's a little different style of play from the professional days, which is understandable. But yeah, there were some. You and I were looking at way back. A guy named Mike Vandenberg, who wore the ugliest hockey helmet I think I've ever seen. Looked like a plastic bucket on his head. So some of that stuff has changed, but really, it's just what you love about the game is just the fast play and just the hard hits. You forget sometimes watching on TV, as good as that is. My gosh, it's a fast game, and boy, yeah, it's so much fun to watch.
You were with the Jacks for quite some time, but you've been with the Midland Rockhounds for even longer.
Right.
Their season's about to commence, and in the next few weeks, on April 12th, I believe, is the home opener, or the opening game for them. What's it like, of course, the MLB lockout happened. They get it done on the 99th day. What are your thoughts on that process and them getting it done and kind of baseball being back to what it was?
Yep. Oh, and it's going to be so good. I didn't go on the road last year, which drove me out of my mind. But, the year before there was no season. So really looking forward to that. Baseball, of course, is such a different sport than hockey, but has some things in common, too, at our level. The travel and just the length of the season and the grip. But I'm really looking forward to it. I think we're going to have some really very solid prospects with the Hounds coming. The A's just made about 87 trades, so we're scrambling to get some information on some guys, some high prospects we might see, and guys coming back from last year.
You were not just the voice of the Rockhounds, but you were the first ever voice of the Odessa Jackalopes.
Well, this was home too. Ector County Coliseum was home through that half of the year, if you will, and yeah, it was a little bit of a commute, but it's not bad at all. So many memories coming back. Some of the just how many great players, how many great kids, and really good people. So one of my favorite things about hockey is, and I imagine you encounter it, Mike, is these kids are from all over the country for one, and there's just something about hockey people. I mean, I don't even know what the word is for it, but he's almost humble to a point, I guess, unassuming a little bit, but they're just some of the best people I've ever met have been, with this franchise. For example, I look at the Stars bench, and there is Derek Laxdal, who was an assistant coach here. And again, one of my favorite people that we ever had here. Laxey's just a great guy, and there he is on the bench with the Stars. I love that kind of stuff. Mike, I was when I was looking at the website the other day, and I obviously knew of Connor, and I know him, but I went back and actually kind of reread his story and just Googled a little bit around. What a remarkable, that's just one of the great stories, I think, of sports in West Texas in a long time, because like you said, that's almost out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I mean, the guy's not only in the NHL, he's doggone good. And, what a great story.
A Vezina winner, but not a big deal. I didn't have... so I reached out on our fan page on Facebook and kind of said that I was going to be interviewing you. If anybody wanted to maybe have you share a memory or their favorite memory, and maybe if you want to discuss it. We had one fan ask about, I don't want to butcher his last name, but John
Bossio.
Bossio retirement.
Yeah.
Maybe talk a little bit about that. Or the person that asked the question's wearing his jersey tonight. So maybe a little bit about, again, you see him kind of all over. We do a lot of specialty jerseys, but talk about, again, people still wearing the CHL jerseys and what those players that retired mean to you?
He is one of the really, first of all, really, again, one of the really good people. But John Basio is an outstanding forward, really good goal scorer. Was part of that team I just mentioned, the 01-02 team. This really isn't necessarily hockey right on the nose, but that game I mentioned that they needed to sweep the weekend and did to get 100 points, which was almost unheard of at that time. And on the way back from Lubbock, the bus broke down. And it could go no more than, and I was not on board that particular time, but I'm told by guys I trust, about 12 miles an hour. The number of hours it took them to get from Lubbock back here to the Coliseum was ridiculous. John Basio, I am told, by people I trust, jumped off the bus safely, went into a convenience store, purchased refreshments, and caught back up with the bus going home as they celebrated the win and the 100 points. I knew he was a good hockey player. I did not know he was quite that talented. Mike, he's one of the really good guys and really one of the most popular players of the era with the Jacks, and apparently very, very talented in terms of grabbing and catching up a bus.
Well, I'm sure he has that on his resume for sure under accolades. Can catch up to the bus. Yesterday I was interviewing Casey, our billet coordinator. That's something that the CHL never really had, was kind of that billet sense where the players were housed by another family. These players were older, professional, could rent their own apartments and whatnot, or were housed in player apartments per se. But what do you think of that aspect of it? As the officials are taking the ice, we have about a minute or so here.
Oh, I think it's terrific. We've done a little bit of that with the baseball team as well, because some of them are younger and obviously haven't cashed the bigger paychecks, even bonuses. But there's always been, I think, Mike, with this franchise, a really cool connection between fans and players, whether it's with the billet program or just friendships or it's a little different now because the guys are a little younger. That's a different dynamic, and I think that's what makes that program so good. What a connection. It's really cool.
And speaking of that, they connect so well with the younger billet siblings, brothers or sisters, and I know the guys love that. We have designated sections here for billet families, and all the kids are here. And so it's always nice to see them interact. Tonight we have a post-game skate with the team, so they're always out there playing tag with them. So that's always a fun thing to do. But I'm going to let you step aside, enjoy the rest of the game here from the Ector County Coliseum, as it's a tied game after the first period of play. All right, thank you so much, Bob. Any final words before I let you go?
Yeah, this is just so cool to be back here, Mike. Thank you so much for having me, and I really appreciate you.
Of course, no problem. Maybe I could get over to a Rockhounds game. I haven't seen one yet. So.
Deal.
All right.
Absolutely, anytime.
Of course. Well, enjoy the rest of the game.
Bless your heart, Mike. Thank you so much.